Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Axcess.
Do it live.
Wired Axcess.
We'll do it live.
Wired Axcess.
Welcome to Wired Axcess Podcast, where I'm your host, DJ K-Dub Omaha. We greatly appreciate you tuning in to this episode and any of the others. We cannot do what we do without you. And, of course, Hurrdat Sports Production, as they continue to allow us to roll out these episodes. And today we are welcoming Randy Silver. He's a part of Nebraska TV.
Yes.
Randy caught my eye by making a big change in his life not too many years ago, and he actually gave it to our producer Austin. You guys have of course seen all that he does for Hurrdat. He's everywhere, and he always knows kind of what my story is or what I like to put out there, and sometimes I like to bring the media side in here. Of course, we have athletes. You guys have seen just recently we had Bubba Day committed to Tennessee. We had Ben Ziola committed to UNC wrestling. So we share the kids, but now we're going to do a little bit of the media side. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Now, those that know me know that I also DJ for state events. I got to do state softball. Thank you, the city of Lincoln, UNL, coach out there, who actually pitched out the first pitch for Class A. The experience was amazing, but what was better is when I'm sitting there DJing and I'm outside and I look to my right and I'm like, I think that's Randy. Never seen the guy. I've never met him.
Nope.
But we've obviously messaged. I've obviously seen some of your work. And I go, Randy, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, hey, Kendall. So we got to working. We got to seeing each other. Talk about an atmosphere.
Oh, my word. It was so much fun.
So have you done state sports yet, like
Yes.
championships in Nebraska? What all have you done so far?
So we're going to start in the past, and we'll even go farther back. I started Cinco de Mayo 2025.
Okay.
So my first big state event would have been state track and field in Omaha.
Ooh, that's a big event.
It was fun. It was very fun. And then I did state golf for boys in the spring.
Okay.
I did state golf for girls last week, and then obviously
So you missed
softball.
state soccer. I got to DJ that down
Yeah, I
at
missed
Morrison.
that. I saw,
so
like,
that
the
was
tail end of it.
awesome. That was 3 classes, girls and boys, and just the atmosphere was awesome. A little rainy, but we got through it. And the last day for the boys, they had me down on the field in between the two teams. Of course, soccer don't have breaks like softball. So you got to get your moments when you get them. And for sure, when it comes to soccer, just as I get to do for Union Omaha, as they come up and their last game is coming up.
I was
get
there
to do
on
that.
Saturday.
Where are you? I get to do it this Saturday, but of course this will post after it. But this coming up Saturday, I get to also do Union Omaha. But just sports DJing is amazing, along with getting to cover the sports.
Correct.
So as you saw with softball, I was doing a little bit of two-man there. I was covering it to see what was going on, but also setting the atmosphere.
Correct.
Your first time, what did you think of the atmosphere of state softball?
You brought the vibes. Without you, I mean, the crowd's there for the energy, for the kids, of course, but you enhance it. You take it from 100 to 200 with the music choices that you have.
Well, and what I like about it, I'm glad that you said that, because it is emotions that you play
Correct.
with. And I think some people that do music or do media forget that about it.
Correct.
But of course, like you're saying the atmosphere changed and what you were seeing.
For an example, like Northwest, when they won the championship, obviously, what do you play? We are the champions. And they're singing that while they're taking their state photos with the trophy and the medals. And their coach had to say, stop singing, stop singing. We're taking a photo. But like without that atmosphere and what you bring with the music as one scenario, it changes it.
Well, I like that you say that, because of course I don't get to go down to the field. I don't get to get close to the game. And you, of course, were working top and then going down for the big events. What was it like being on that field and just seeing different emotions? You, of course, also had
Correct.
the teams who didn't get first place in the championship. They still got to have emotions of upset, but they should also be happy because they're one of the 2 schools in the finals.
Correct. So St. Cecilia won Class C. Hastings, Grand Island, Northwest won Class B. Congratulations to all the girls and their fans there. So on one side, you have the thrill of victory, where you get to see them crying out of happiness to joy, the fans going wild. And then the other side is the agony of defeat, where you're crying tears of loss, you're disappointed. Both those games ended in walk-off, so it's hard because you had the victory right there and it was snatched away. And that's why I prefer to be a sports reporter versus a sports anchor, which we can get into. An anchor, you're in the studio, and you're just kind of watching the highlight. A sports reporter, you're at the stadium, you're at the arena, and you're there with the energy. And that's what gets me up every day, is feeling the crowd, feeling the players, and feeling that energy on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, my hair's starting to come up just from all those words. And if those things don't feel powerful to you, you're just not watching it. And I think that's why live sports is just so much better. Yes, correct. You can sit at home if that's what you choose to do. But when you get those moments to go see, I know I covered 8-man football just 2 weeks ago for my very first time. If you haven't been to 8-man football yet, you need to go. It is football for the soul. Yeah. You pull up in a small city. First of all, I went to the wrong spot because I went and put public school, not the public school, so it put me out in the country. I get in the city, and I'm like, man, there are cars everywhere. They're in the middle of the street because they got those extra wide streets. You got parking here, parking in the middle. I'm like, I am not going to get close. And I'm already behind because it took me out. I was down in Johnson Brock versus Lord Central Catholic. So Johnson's down by Tecumseh. So south.
I'm relatively new here.
You're good. It's south of Omaha area. And I pull up in this small town, and it's just that feeling of everybody is at this game. Yes. Everybody from that city, everybody from near Nebraska City, because that's where Lord Central Catholic is from. And you walk up and you see the old school football scoreboard with the lights, not with the big screens and all this special stuff, just the light bulbs. Mm-hmm. There's no screen. You walk in, and before you walk in, there's just the thing that says Johnson Brock, and it says the stadium. I forget the name, so please excuse me. And you look down beyond the berm, and there's a field. Now, 8-man plays on 40 by 40. It's 40 yards each way, so it's 80 yards total plus the 20 on the end zone. So it's really it's 100, not 110. You know,
still a lot of field.
Still a lot of field with 8 people. Now I cover, of course, 8-man football with the Omaha Beef and Arena, which is a whole different ball game.
Okay,
you're in compact. Those are 25 by 25. So I'm out there, and you see down the row on the top of the berm is nothing but fans all the way down. Both schools just split in the middle. You go down the field. You get down the field. You have the student sections. They're behind the visitors. And they're kind of spread out maybe from here to that wall is probably where the other team sits. Most of them are the females. Why? Because you're playing 8-man football, and there's not a lot of guys that aren't playing football or aren't helping with the video, ain't helping upstairs, whatever. And the quarterback turns into the running back or turns into the blocker and is smash-nose football, and it just made you love football. And I say this because I have been to a lot of games that have been lopsided lately. And it's obviously a big talk in the state.
Oh, yes.
Nothing we control. All we do is report what we see. So when you get a 28-22 game and you get to see it come down to the last possession, that to me made me just seeing the small town love. And right beyond the field was nothing but cornfields. It was so dark, so chilly. It was just amazing fall. But then we get to Monday, and there was a moment that you didn't get to see. So you, of course, cover a certain area. What's that area that you cover?
Central and Western Nebraska.
Central Western. So you don't do, of course, Class A or much Class A, right?
Unless they come through. So
Okay.
I'm based in Lincoln, but NTV, Nebraska Television, our media area is Central Western Nebraska.
Okay.
I'm in Lincoln as a Husker sports reporter.
Okay.
I'll cover high school sports for Central Western Nebraska.
Okay.
So unless Class A is in that, I probably don't cover it.
Okay. So Lincoln Southwest was the underdog versus Miller North in Class A. Their pitcher was working the mound and doing everything she could as they had a lead. And there was a moment in the game where the coach, with 2 on, calls a timeout and goes to the mound. I play a song, and I feel song choice selections change and create an atmosphere, whatever you want, right? Like if it's a serious moment, you put on something like, Joker by Wolfmaster, and all of a sudden, Joker the Thief, I put it on.
Can I jump something?
Oh, yeah.
Also, you're at a neutral field. If you're a home DJ, it's different based off of what is happening.
Yeah.
Neutral, you have to try to play both sides.
Which
is more difficult.
But for me, I felt this was a moment where the batter needed it to kind of get them going, and the pitcher needed. I wanted a big duel come out of it, right? And that's what we got. She comes out of it. She throws 2 strikes. Boom, the third one. The batter makes a hit. Now, gets out, but it was just seeing how it changed the atmosphere to a duel because they could start getting those emotions high because of the song that you play. And it's like what we get to do, both DJ and sports media, is just we get to turn these kids' lives of what they're doing and turn it up to let them know how important it is. All that hard work, everything that they've dedicated can be noticed,
Correct.
Can be seen.
I think the first thing for me, going back to the track and field championships, Bennington for Class C won boys and girls. I'm pretty sure it's Class C. It makes sense. But they have never won state track before. They win boys and girls. They swept it. I got to do a profile on them as a team celebrating, and that video went viral on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and their whole town was resharing it because this town of 2,500 people had this recognition they've never got before. And that's the coolest part of my job is telling stories and being able to share those stories with the world and letting those people see what the world is doing.
See, and I like that you say that because I tell people all the time, sometimes we get voted because, of course, to go to Johnson Brock Lords, it was voted on. We had 4 games that were voted on. That was the one that won. I've been to a Class B where the admin goes, I'm sorry, how'd you get to this game? And I said, it was voted on. Oh, why aren't you at a Northwest Side game? Why? Because everybody's at Northwest Side game. Why would I go there? What would I add to it?
Fair.
I'm able to tell the stories of the kids that don't always get those stories told and put in those works. So I love that aspect of what you do because I've, of course, watched some of your videos and your stories on these athletes that go a little deeper than like your Emmett Johnson, where it goes a little more into the person. And that's what this show is about. And, of course, for you, you left an office job.
Correct.
And I say this also because I did see a former media person that was a student in the fan section at softball, and I asked, because I've seen her at all state events, and she didn't have a camera. And I asked, hey, how's it going? And she goes, I just haven't found a job yet in what we do. That stuff's scary.
Yes.
It's real. So for you to make this decision and go, hey, I want to leave an office job where, some office jobs, not all, have a more, here is your pay every 2 weeks. You know exactly what you're going to make.
Yep.
You know the hours you got to work. You know exactly what you got to do. Here's your paycheck. Doesn't mean that it brings the heart to where you're at now with your big decision.
Correct. And for the audience here, I'll be transparent and honest because you brought up, I was making $250,000 a year at my corporate job. But I woke up every day incredibly disappointed with my life. I felt unfulfilled. And I realized that money doesn't buy happiness. And I know it's cliche to say that, but I was a sales manager. I got to travel the world for my job. I got to lead amazing people across the world, but I just didn't enjoy sitting in sales meetings on Zoom 6 hours a day. I didn't enjoy sitting in Salesforce and having to create reports. I didn't enjoy the one-on-ones. Now, I enjoyed the people I got to work with, don't get me wrong, but I didn't enjoy the day-to-day. On Monday, getting to cover softball and tell that story, I wake up with a smile. And that's why I made the change was I couldn't envision myself for 30 years sitting in a corporate job. Yes, I'm making maybe 1/5 of that money now, but it's not about the money. It's about I wake up every day so happy getting to do what I get to do. I've never had that feeling before.
I like, man, God, that just hits hard because people don't understand time does not replace your heart. Like you said, you got to travel. And it explains why you were I gave him 3 options for those that know. We got 3 options to record a show, whether it's here or whether I'm out doing it personally. We either got here in studio. We have live at Hurrdat Sports Bar, which is only one show a year that I got to range around. And, of course, Zoom. And he was like, nah, I ain't doing Zoom, but I'll come meet up. So that makes sense.
You can't beat this.
That makes sense now. So But your story also just, you go through a part of where money doesn't buy happiness, and the purpose, and I think sometimes people are afraid to step out of the comfort zone to find their purpose.
Correct.
And everybody's like, Kendall, you're just so busy and you're always doing this. I mean, for those that know, I DJ, I own a lawn company, I dispatch live flight, I obviously run this podcast, I run Omaha beef stuff, but everything that I get to do fills my heart every time with the emotion of seeing results, whether I'm helping to save a life, emotions of a game. I really have picked up sports DJing since 2020. I got to do a lot with Papio South, and then I went and did some college stuff with College of St. Mary's, and just being able to provide the background to know that one thing you could do, just as in your stories that you're telling, could change someone's day for something they had no plans that day.
Correct. And I think what you didn't mention there is just the sacrifices that come with what you want to do to achieve your dream. You just mentioned 4 or 5 jobs. That takes away from personal time. That takes away from, say, going to a music festival, being able to spend Friday with your friends, whatever it may be. If you really want the dream that you have, are you willing to make the compromises and sacrifices? I've sacrificed so much, which we can dive into it, and I had to compromise on so much where it's rewarding to get to do what I have to do, but it would be a lie if it's not a mental struggle to deal with what I'm missing out on. It's really hard.
And I'm glad that you bring that up, because it is, whether it's, I picked up this year where I'm DJing a location for Husker games every Saturday. So that's my book. There's no backing out. Obviously, I had a day for a wedding and this and that, but besides that, it's on the calendar. Those are locked in. I can't go, you know what? I want to go cover the Huskers. You know what? I want to go watch the Huskers.
I've missed 3 bachelor parties from my best friends since I've been here because they fall on Husker game days. And my job is to cover the Huskers. I can't just call out sick or, hey, someone else take it. The station, the people who I cover, they need me. And so that's the sacrifice I've really had to deal with. I go to a mental health therapist 3 times a week, once every 3 weeks, not because I feel like I'm depressed, but to be able to talk out the emotions and the mental health. You hear players talk about mental health needs. It's the same in our industry. Is you're away from your family, you're away from your friends. How do you deal with that? And you have to be able to deal with it the right way, or you're going to go down the wrong path.
What made you decide, one, to leave the corporate world? What was that like for you and that decision? And then obviously we'll go into what made you go into sports media of all things.
So let me talk about my backstory a bit. Now we can take it. So I grew up in Southern California, a city called Irvine. When I was 18, I really wanted to go into sports, but I was dissuaded by basically everybody in my life. Sports is too hard. There's not enough money there, et cetera, et cetera. So I went to UC Santa Cruz, shout out Banana Slugs, and I played lacrosse there. So I played lacrosse and football in high school. Out of school, I wanted to get into sports, but Santa Cruz is a D3 school, so there wasn't many opportunities, say as if you went to UNL, where you could work for the football team, work for the basketball team. So I got a job living in San Francisco doing cold calls. I was a sales rep making 120 cold calls a day, 2,000 emails a day for about a year. I was working East Coast hours on the West Coast, so I was waking up at 4:30 to be in the office at 5:30 to work 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. It was a grind, but it taught me a lot that I use today. From there, I moved up the corporate ladder until eventually I became a global sales manager. COVID happened. I know during COVID, we all kind of were shut down. We looked at their life, and that's when I was like, you know what? I have a great job. I have a great family. I live on the beach in San Diego now, but I just am not happy with my life 9 to 5 every day. I don't see myself sitting here doing the same rat race, for lack of a better term, 9 to 5 every day. And then I found the school, the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. It's at Full Sail in Orlando. It's a 2-year program. Being 29 at the time, I didn't want to go back to a 4-year school. I wanted something a little bit more trade school-esque. So I had a girlfriend at the time. We're no longer together. I told her, hey, I found this school. I kind of need to do this for myself and be selfish and make this life change. And I give her the credit. She was all into it, and we moved to Florida together. I started the school, and that was 2 years ago.
I like that you say that, because that was the one thing before I got into DJ. And so, of course, if I look back as my media thing, I've been recording games, whether it's my kids' games or whatever, for the longest. So like, and also analyzing, because I was a basketball coach that didn't know a lot about basketball, but I'll kind of tell you what's going on in the game and what I'm seeing from the actual video that I would record. But when it came to DJing, I had a talk with a DJ that was my cousin's husband, and I kind of told him what I was thinking. And he goes, "Why do you want to do it?" And I said, "Because I know how much as a DJ you can do with people and make their day and change their life." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "All right, well, I'll help you, because you didn't come in saying you just want to be the life of the party." You know, because some DJs have that mental aspect. You're the life of the party. No, I get to change people's lives. I don't get to be the life of the party. So then I did Omaha DJ Academy. So this is where I like the connections continue between you and I. And it's just a matter of, I went and learned the art before I put out the art. I wanted to make sure if I was doing it, I was doing it properly. I did not want to just go get a computer and let the computer do all the mixing. I wanted to learn how to blend. And as you heard, where I would go from country to hip hop to old school to, and there's no different in your head except for I'm looking, especially at an open format thing like a sports thing, of someone else paying attention. That's my goal. If every song I find someone different that locks in and is hearing it, because if you're only playing to one ear, you're doing a disservice to everybody. Correct. Because my goal isn't to make you sing every song with me, but if I could get you to sing one song that you didn't hear in a long time, or that isn't a song you're like, I don't get to do this, I've made you outlive whatever you thought you were coming to see at the venue. Yep. So I'm glad that you mentioned the Dan Patrick school. Yep. What was that like? And because I always tell people, I love interviewing, and I learned it from someone that many will call cringe, whatever. I don't listen to that stuff. I listen to his interviews. Howard Stern was someone I've listened to for 20 plus years to interview. And that's why I can continue to interview and make people listen to that kind of style, because that's what I grew up on, and I hit hard and listen to what he's doing, not listen to the cringe stuff that he talks about, you know, but I wanted to learn that aspect of how to make this person across from me, one, because I've had people go, "Oh, you won't get them to talk," and then all of a sudden they tell their life story, or two, get someone like yourself where I've only met you once, and that was for a very short time.
We're both working,
you know, but then to have a conversation and be able to tell the story. So you get to this Dan Patrick, you go to the Dan Patrick experience. What is that for you, and how did you even find out about this place?
So I'm a big sports guy. Again, I always wanted to work in sports. Dissuaded. In 2018, I was listening to the Scott Van Pelt podcast, and they had an ad for it, SVP Pod. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I did my research. But it didn't feel right at the time. The school was brand new. It felt like a leap. I wasn't ready. And living in San Francisco, bunch of friends there, had a good time enjoying the festivities there. It didn't feel right. During COVID, when it happened again, I researched it, but it didn't feel right to go back because of COVID. Everything is shut down. So then after COVID opened back up in 2022, when I was really having my inner thoughts like louder and louder, that's when I knew it was time to make the choice and make the switch. The school is a 2-year program. All our teachers are former ESPN, Golf Channel, CNN, Fox. They're just giving back to students. So you're in class. It's a year-round school. You're learning interviewing skills. You're learning on camera, behind the camera, producing, videography, for photography. You anchor. You do stand-ups, everything between. And it prepares you to either A, go in the world for local news, which is what I am doing, or B, be able to go do your own things, such as potentially YouTube, podcasting. So they give you a really all-encompassing experience. The beauty of being in Orlando, there's a lot of different sports that happen there. So I got an opportunity to work for Rollins College, to do play-by-play D2 school. UCF, we get to go cover their games. Some of my mentors that came through the school, you would recognize the name Scott Hansen from NFL Red Zone. Foul Territory is based down there. They're the Pat McAfee for baseball. And I did much more for singular events there. So in 2 years, it felt like I did 5 years. I interned a bunch. I got a humble brag, valedictorian 4.0.
Did they offer you places to intern? Did they provide some places, or did you reach out?
So through Rollins College, us at Dan Patrick's School of Sportscasting. And by the way, we do get to work with Dan. He comes down to the school 3-4 times a year. We do Zoom sessions with him. We'll hear critique our work. And getting a legend like that to be like, hey, and he's honest. He's like, you're either good or bad. And like he gives it is awesome. As well as the teachers. Shout out our program director, Gus Ramsey. Same thing. He was his producer at Sports Center for 20 plus years or around there. But there's stuff that was given to us through the school where it's sign up, and the students who are more dedicated probably get more opportunities because they can trust you're going to do it. But there's many things where I just found it on my own by reaching out to people, the buzzword networking, using LinkedIn, or just, for example, USA played Brazil in soccer in the international friendly at the stadium. So big fan. I went to the stadium on my own and did social media content like you guys would see with Hail Varsity. I watched the game as a fan on my own. I recorded the game in the stands, and then I stayed late. I brought my own camera equipment and lights, and I did a stand-up. And that stand-up, actually 20 fans came out of the stadium, thought it was live on television, and are jumping like, "Let's go Brazil!" like going crazy. And I was able to handle it very well because of my practice. And that's one of the first videos on my demo reel. And I've had many people, news directors around the USA, that video is why I watched more of your video, because of you handle the pressure situation, which could be live on television like that. No one told me to be there that day. I put in a 12-hour day on my day off of school, but I knew that's what was needed for me to get to where I want to go.
Well, I like that you said no one told you to be there, because that's where I've kind of found opportunity comes and continues to come, because I've been at boxing where I've gotten to talk to Crawford, Raiola. I've never covered boxing in my life, but I was able to do there, give some videos for the people that boxed, and have conversation with people that I would normally not have a conversation. I mean, Dylan Raiola was the first to ever wear the plug-and-play player of the game chain. You know what I mean? So, like, but it was like being where you're supposed to be because you act like you're supposed to be there. And I think those are things that sometimes people forget. Like, we could be fandoms. You know, you can be fans of sports. But when you're in where you want to be, you're just locked in. You know what you got to do. You say your highs, you say your whatever, but you're locked in. What made sports reporting in the fashion that you do it is what you wanted to go. Obviously, going through the school, you see the different routes that you could go and different opportunities. What was it for you?
I always told myself if I got paid to talk sports on television, that would be my dream. Growing up watching Part in the Interruption, Around the Horn, all the like sideline reporters, I was like, that job is so cool. They literally get paid to talk sports on television. But people are like, hey, Randy, you're 5'8", you're a good athlete, you're not going D1, like you kind of have a lisp, you're not that tall, like all this stuff that like you're never gonna make it. And I let those doubters get in my head. I let the people tell me I couldn't do it. And finally I listened to my inner voice and said, you know what? You can do it. There's no reason why you can't. You got to put the work in. And I'm reaping the rewards.
Well, and I'm glad you say that. When you think of like even your corporate job, what was your days like in a corporate job when you'd go home, you'd have your weekends, you'd have the normal schedule? Yeah. What was it like then compared to what you're now doing?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll do my last job at Oyster. I was a North America sales manager, so I was managing people in USA, Canada, and South America. I would wake up on the West Coast at 6 a.m. to start work at 6:30 because I had people based in Florida and I didn't want them to have no manager all morning. I would be sitting on Zoom calls with them for one-on-ones. I'd be sitting calls with my managers talking about sales numbers. I'd be on client calls talking about our product. I'd be sitting with legal trying to get contracts signed. I'd be sitting with finance to try to get the financing side. So everything involved in the company, I hit. I did that for basically 10 to 11 hours because I had people on the West Coast. That would be Monday through Friday. Fair enough. I had my weekends off. That job was also fully remote. And I was living basically on the beach in San Diego. So I could go surf during lunch, surf after surf after work. I played a bunch of beach volleyball, soccer, hang out with friends, go to music festivals. So I had a really good life. I just, again, wasn't happy with what I was doing day to day. So when I made the switch and told everybody, they were shocked. I'm the group connector. I'm the friend of the friend. I'm the guy everyone's like, oh, Randy's going to be there. It's going to be such a good time. And for me to leave that all, they were happy for me, but they were shocked that like I'm the guy making that decision because it felt like I had the life.
Well, and I like how you brought up the fact of just where you're the guy who normally would arrange I used to care about who was coming and who's not coming to when we do a get together, and they know that I'd put it all together. I'd make sure all the invites were out, make sure everybody knew about it. Once I had that, I don't know what it is, but once you don't have that pressure, you know, and I think I live by that with I DJ and how I even do media. I'm doing what I do for one more person to hear it or whatever. I don't care if I go DJ at an event and there's 5 people in the room. I am advertising and selling myself for those 5 people for their experience, right? And I don't mean it as selling like money. I'm talking about selling those moments that these people want to still be there and they don't know who I am. And then when it comes to the media side, it's the same thing. Going out with a purpose, making sure that this is where I'm covering, am I covering the right things? Sure. Am I looking to get the right input? So, of course, you decide to leave where you're the center of the party and you go to where the party isn't available for you.
It's not about me. As a sports reporter, it's never about me. It's about the team and the fans. And my goal is to make it where, say, like, again, Grand Island Northwest is in the Class B state finals. Someone from Grand Island can't be there. My goal is either through my TV report or through the social media clips and what I put on there to get them feel like they were there and they're they're not missing out.
How did you come back to Nebraska? Let's get to that. You graduate, like you said, valedictorian. Congratulations. That's amazing to hear because it's not easy. It's a dedication, like you said, to the changes, right? You're like, I'm making the change. Did your girlfriend make it through both 2 years with you with this big move?
We broke up 4 months before school was over.
Okay, so that's another thing because you got choices when that happens. You can give up on the goal that you're continuing, or you can overcome the adversity. What was your way to overcome that adversity?
So I'm gonna get emotional here just because
that's all right, man.
It's a part of my story. So the day that we broke up, I had my final where I had to go on camera and do a SportsCenter anchor for 5 minutes. How do you go on camera and be happy when the person that you were together with for so long and has meant so much to you, you guys are no longer together? I don't get it together while we're together. I wish you all the best. No, it will.
Yes.
It just didn't work out. It was the worst TV camera presence I've ever done. And the teacher came up to me and was like, hey, can I pull you aside? He's like, what's wrong? You're always so bubbly. You're always so happy. Like, what's wrong? And I told him, he goes, you learned a really tough life lesson today. It's a good thing that you're in school. This is not live television, but this is going to be very blunt. That camera right there, nobody cares about your personal life. They're tuning in because they want to know their sports. They want to know X, Y, Z, whatever is happening. They don't give an F about your personal life. The moment that light turns on, you got to tune that out. And you got to be happy and care about what you're talking about. Or if it's a sad story, fair enough, be sad, whatever it is. But your personal life, you got to leave it at the door the moment you step in the studio. And you learned a really tough lesson today. And that advice has stuck with me every day since. Like, regardless of whatever's happening in life, the good and the bad, my job as a sports reporter is to be able to report the news. I have to be able to block out whatever's happening in my life. So with that being said, it was a really tough end of school, being able to deal with the grief of a breakup while having to deal with being on television every day to talk sports and get my demo reel going, my assignments, while also finding out where's my life going to be?
Yeah.
Where am I going to be? Where am I interviewing at? I'm having the interview. So this is where me being a sales rep came in. I made a spreadsheet, and maybe I can give it to your producers so you guys can see it. I knew I wanted to be in a major market. I didn't want to start in, like, say, a smaller town and kind of work my way up through D3, D2 sports. I wanted a D1 program. So I made a spreadsheet of every D1 program in the U.S., what city are they in, and based off of that, I made a second spreadsheet of each TV station in that city or each social media company. I then went to LinkedIn. I got myself a free account to Sales Navigator where you can send in messages and things on LinkedIn. If you have questions on this, I can show you all. But long story short, I applied to basically 200 jobs, not through the normal, like, go to ZipRecruiter and do it. I reached out to each news director in the market directly and said, my name is Randy Silver. I'm graduating 2 or 3 months from the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. Here's my resume. Here are my references. Here's my demo reel. I'd love to have a conversation about a spot opening up or just make a connection about something where you and I could talk maybe in 6 months if something opens up. I probably had a hit rate of 20% because news directors want someone who's proactive, who's going to be out there and find the stories, not be reactive and wait for the stories to come. And my news director, NTV, Andrew, was like, hey, There's nothing opening up for like 4 or 5 months. However, like, you're my guy. You've proven to me just based off of your demo reel, what you did. Would you move to Nebraska? I said, I've never thought about Nebraska.
Now, hold on. Let
I've
me
never
say
been
this.
here, by the way.
I was going to ask, ever been here? Ever known what the weather is in the Midwest? You went from fun in the sun down to rainy, Daney, and then now you come up to Nebraska?
Never been between Vegas and D.C. Everything was either East Coast, West Coast.
Woo.
So, but I told myself coming into this industry, beggars can't be choosers. And you hear it all the time. Like my mentor, again, Scott Hansen, started at some small town in Michigan. Then from Michigan, he went somewhere else. Then he went to Philly. Then he got the NFL Network job. Craig Can, another mentor of mine, he started at a small town, I want to say in Florida, and then went Michigan, or vice versa. And then he got the job at the Golf Channel. So you have to work your way up in the industry, just like an athlete. You work your way up from high school to college to NFL. Maybe you're not starting. You put the work in. You have to put the work in. I knew I would do that. So long story short, I ended up having, it was either 9 or 10 jobs out of college. I had ESPN offer me. I had other companies offer me. But all those were behind the camera. NTV was the only one that offered me to be on camera. And what was my North Star again? Talk sports for a living on television. And that's what I had to take. So I took the job. I rented the U-Haul and drove 27 hours by myself in the car from Orlando to Lincoln and started my new life.
Do you think you would have had this opportunity had it not been for your Dan Patrick experience?
No. I don't think also I'd get this opportunity if my ex-girlfriend and I don't break up. I think I would have, again, it comes to like relationships. I know some people, you have family, you have kids, like it's hard to make those changes. And I've learned a lot dealing with the grief the past year and just like dealing with stuff like that. But I don't, based off of what she wanted in our life, I probably don't ever apply to being in Nebraska.
Well, man, you saying this, it just makes me, because I don't talk about it, but like I started a show on a radio network during COVID. I was able to help make this show get numbers that haven't been seen from 6 to 8 p.m. by making it the Super Bowl, because everything I do is bigger than what I do. It's not me. It was proven at the end when I lost my show that I still stayed the straight face and didn't show the emotion. I mean, one time in the show was, I don't know about you, but I'm adopted at the age of 4. I know my family. I live with part of my family. But I don't know the story, and I found out during COVID my story because of 23 or Ancestry.com. And my sister told me something less than 30 minutes before I had to go live on a radio show that no one would ever want to hear of what had happened to her, that I lived 39 years of not knowing. And I had to go on a live radio show and act like nothing happened. I went a full month knowing that I wasn't going to have a radio show after that month because my show got taken from me and snaked from me. You know what I did until the day I finished that show? No one knew. A year after that, no one knew because I didn't let it affect me, but it affected me in other ways, unhealthy ways. You know, and I think those are the things that people don't see or know, and they're like, oh, everything's happy. You hear it, you see it,
correct,
but there's a part of you that you miss, you know, because we do hold it. We hold it as long as possible. And then someone brought up, hey, I know that you've done radio. I have this podcast equipment sitting around. You want to do it? I was like, sure. And now look at me now. I would never have,
now, baby.
I would have never been who I am now had it not been for that year off from the radio of just going through the fact of, am I not good enough? Is it not what I am? And then everything that I get to do, whether it is interviewing someone like a Harper Murray, you know, meeting with Lindsey Krause, Jordy Ball. I mean, I did Jordy Ball's wedding. I was the DJ.
Yeah,
you know
cool.
what I'm saying? Like, those moments only happen because you were true. Yeah.
Good for her.
Because you were true to yourself and you were true to what you wanted.
Correct.
You know, and for me, this is all that I didn't know I wanted this until it happened. I knew I wanted to cover sports, but to this extent, I had no idea until someone put a microphone in front of me and they're like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, let's go. And now look at it, you know, and it's the growth. Obviously, you come into Nebraska. What's your first thoughts? I mean, you go through the summer, you know, more than you have the winter, so you haven't really felt the cold yet.
I've never felt the proper winter before. I'll
Yeah.
be honest. So I'm mentally preparing.
How about for snow? What do you think your first thought's going to be for snow?
So I've seen snow in Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
I used to go to Boston for work, so I'd be in snow maybe for a couple days. I've never lived through. What's that thing that comes down? An Arctic blast, you can call it.
Yeah.
I've never lived through it, so I take every day as an adventure and experience. Everything is new here, so it's just a part of the story I'm building, and I'm okay with it. This California board needs new wardrobe. Not gonna lie, at some point I will do that. But it's a part of my journey. And the good thing with winter in Nebraska, the sports you're covering, high school basketball, college basketball, wrestling, high school, college wrestling, it's indoors at least. So just get up earlier and deal with the consequences.
What did your family think when you made the decision that you were coming to Nebraska? How did that all go with them? Because, of course, like you said, it's not that you had naysayers. It's just they know the money is not where
Correct.
people might need it to be. But if you've done the right things prior to doing it, as I still have a part-time job that I go work to make sure that money's right.
Correct.
You know
So-
what I'm saying? It's the hustle that we have.
So I did pay myself through Full Sail. It's not a cheap school. So it did deplete my savings, but I've always been financially prudent. So I do have stuff where I'm not like a struggling first job. I have some backing if I need to, but I live like I paycheck to paycheck. My parents were really stoked. My dad told me a story. My dad's worked for State Farm his whole life, and he's like, my big regret in life is never going for what I dreamed of. I have a great job. I built a great family. I have 2 brothers. My parents just celebrated their 35th wedding anniversary yesterday.
Happy anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Lana and Dana Silver.
Would you believe that I'm hitting 25 this coming year?
Congratulations. I'm at 0. But my dad's like, I'm so proud of you as a father because you're chasing your dreams. And all you can ask for as a father is to see your children succeed in whatever that is. And you've only ever been successful in what you're doing. And for you to go out on a limb and basically quit your life to try to build a new life for yourself and take that risk is so rewarding. And my dad's dad wasn't around for him. He died when my dad was 3. I know it means a lot for my dad to be a dad to my brothers and I. So it was very impactful to hear that. My mom, same stuff. Like, so they've been so supportive of me. My parents helped me move into Lincoln. They flew out here to help me move in. They came to Orlando. At my graduation, I was valedictorian at graduation, and I had people come up to me, and this has never happened in my life, be like, hey, Randy, I want to shake your hand because you're going to be great. You're the guy we're going to talk about in 10 years who we're seeing on network television, and I want to say I saw you walk across the stage. I got a standing ovation. I got more awards than anybody's got at the school there. And to have my parents there to see that and how proud they were to know that that was their son who put himself through this.
Because when you worked at corporate, you probably didn't get any recognition. Or if you did, I mean, I said it just the other day, yesterday. I had a meeting with my supervisor at my part-time job. First year, I was employee of the year. You know what? I haven't changed the way that I work. I still do. You know what I've never received ever again? Any recognition or any employee. And I don't need it, but it's just that factor where you could get it in the corporate world for one time, but after that, nothing means nothing.
Correct. It makes all the long hours. Like, it doesn't have to be sports reporting. Whatever job you're doing where you're like, I'm putting in work that nobody sees, you come in late. You come in early. You stay late. Or like as an athlete, again, like a high school athlete, you want to go D1. Are you spending your Saturday going to a high school party? Are you like doing game film? Are you going to the gym, getting extra reps in? All those long hours that nobody sees, when it finally pays off, it's incredibly gratifying. And it's only motivating to keep pushing because you want to get to the highest you can get.
So, of course, you come to Nebraska. Your parents help you get here. What is their first thoughts? Because have they ever been to Nebraska?
No. We're all culture shock. I would say living in Lincoln, like I'm used to living in San Diego, San Francisco, big cities. Lincoln is bigger than Kearney, so or like smaller cities like that. So I'm happy there's more going on. There's a downtown. I think personally, like I probably fit the Omaha vibe more. There's just more to do here. But I'm enjoying the slower pace of life in terms of Nebraska, where it's very family oriented. I get to cover a lot of like local events. Obviously, the Huskers are really big, so covering them. I'm really enjoying the the weather up until this point. Now we'll see how the snow comes.
All right, was Monday cold or not? Was the softball cold or not with that wind?
I was shivering.
Okay, good.
I was shivering.
Because I know my wife always tells me, I don't know why you got that hoodie on, because I've been around Nebraska long enough to know.
Getting used to my hair being long. It's not good with the wind. But Nebraska's embraced me. And I've embraced Nebraska, and I really enjoy it. Now, like, I have really high ambitions. Those ambitions, transparently, probably mean I have to leave Nebraska to get to those levels. But if you were to say, hey, Randy, you were going to live in Nebraska the rest of your life, I can see myself doing that.
You get to Nebraska, what's the first thing you get to cover? How does that first conversation go to get to cover something?
So I moved here middle of April, and then took about 2 weeks to settle in. I went to Red Rocks in Denver for the first time. That was really cool to go to a concert there.
I just told my wife I want to go there.
It was fun. I've been to the Gorge in Washington. Never been to Red Rocks. It was very similar. But the like any onboarding, you got to do HR first day, get your equipment, whatever it may be, any job. And then I shadowed our sports director, Darren Winberg. Shout out Darren. He's awesome.
Hey, Darren, I want to give a shout out. That dude and me have grown so close.
He's awesome.
When I went out to cover Kearney, that every time I get to see him, he's a great dude. So to know that, I even meant to say it at the very opening, but I totally forgot until you just brought it up. But Darren is that guy. He is telling you exactly how he's going to be honest with you, but he's also caring. He cares about what's going on.
He's been a great mentor to me. And so in terms of like learning even more on camera, behind camera, he's like, you want to be on camera? Cool. Go cover this event, and you have a 6 p.m. deadline. Show me what you got. And then, of course, knowing who I am, I hit the deadline. He's like, hey, this is pretty good. Here's a tweak. And then from there, it's just been a rocket ship together. So like,
what was your first event? Do you remember?
So I misspoke. I apologize.
You're
the
good.
First event was actually the high school state championships for soccer. So I was there for the semis, but not the finals. So I got to do recording on the field for the semis.
And what was your thought when you first pulled up there? Like what was those feelings going through you?
I cried. So there's I'll send you guys this video. If not, go to my any socials, Randy Silver TV. There's 2 moments I've cried since I've been here for work. One was that day because I made it. I had a dream. I dreamed a dream. And I finally get to have my get-to job versus a have-to job. And the second time I cried, Darren and I covered the Huskers game at Arrowhead for Cincinnati. And I was like, hey, Darren, I'm going to cry on this field because like I'm now covering a high-level sports game. Obviously, high school is cool, but it's not covering Huskers at an NFL stadium. I made a moment. And he's like, well, I'm on the other sideline, so you're going to cry by yourself?
That is a Darren answer for sure.
He's like, if I see you, I'll wave to you. But like, so right before kickoff, I just looked around, 75,000 people in the stadium.
Embraced it.
And I let my emotions come out, and I started bawling on the sideline. And I actually took a 360 video of me crying, saying like, thank you, everybody. I achieved it. And that video went super viral on social media with millions of views. Because it's raw, it's real, and people can connect. I had moms and dads reaching out to me saying, I don't know who you are. This just came up on my For You page, but like, I want my kids to be able to do what you did and achieve it. Congratulations. And like that, again, I don't need the gratification, but to know that I can inspire people, whatever age they are, to chase their dreams is really, really cool.
And that's why I'm very grateful for Austin to bring you in, because he knows all I want is one more person to watch, one more person get inspired, one more person to find the one thing to go. I just had my girlfriend break up with me right before I took a big test or big, on-camera moment, and that was a life changer. Because most people will go through those thinking, I'm alone. I'm the only one that's ever going through this. I don't, But you not only sharing it here, you're letting one more person hear the fact of, one, you can live a dream. Because when people say, Kendall, all you do is work. I don't consider one thing I do as work. I'm either saving lives, mowing someone's lawn who don't want to do it. It's not like I'm doing it out of, I'm going to just go mow your lawn and do it and make you pay. You need me to help you. That's 2, helping someone. 3, podcasts. I love it because of the stories, the people that you get to share moments of going, Get them out from being comfortable. And when I say this with all respect, when you could get a former NFL player like Carricker to come out of pocket and talk about the worst thing that could have possibly ever happened, deciding NFL or his marriage, that to me hits hard because people don't understand that's real talk and real job. That happens with the job, and no matter what field you're in, whether you're going to decide family or you're going to decide I want to go for the job that I want.
Correct. And
It's hard.
There's many times, like when I first got here and I was driving to, say, Central Nebraska, 2-hour drive. I'm in the car by myself covering a sport. I'm like, was this worth it? And there's cornfields around. Yes, I'm doing the job, but like I have nobody in Nebraska. And I know it takes time to build community, and I have. And I've built a great life here. But it's hard. The mental struggle is hard. The mental is really hard. So that's why like I'm open with talking about like I go see mental health therapists because it's really important to talk it out. I don't drink. I don't smoke. The moment I moved to Florida, I quit everything. Not that I ever really did it, but like I just have this higher being focus now, and I do everything the right way.
See, and that's what people say. I don't understand. You're not dude. I drank when I was in my 20s. I was young and
I don't need a hangover.
I don't need it. I know what I want to achieve. Oh, you're always working. I don't know what you're talking about. What's work?
Yeah. So like the thing, like Saturday, covering Huskers football. People are like, oh, you don't get a weekend? Today is my day off. We're recording this on a Wednesday. Who cares what day my quote unquote weekend is? Saturday, my job is covering the Huskers football game against Northwestern. Please become a bowl eligible team, getting the 6th win. On the field. Like that is not work.
Yeah.
Work is sitting in a corporate office 9 to 5 and having to do that. And if you do that job, I'm not trying to bash on it. It just wasn't for me anymore.
It's a living a dream, and that's what I feel. I feel every opportunity that I get is just a added bonus to everything that I get to do. Yeah. I love covering the Omaha beef. People 90% don't even know that it's still around, even though they won championships with a former Husker.
Oh, interesting.
With Tommy Armstrong. He won back-to-back MVPs. They won back-to-back championships.
And the thing I've learned as well, like as I've gone through, I picked up reading a lot, is like the people in your life who are going to be there for the long haul will understand the life that you're building for yourself. The ones who are going to be the naysayers negative, do you really need them in your life as you get to your upper 20s, 30s, 40s? The ones like I started dating a girl, Kayla, you're awesome. I appreciate you. Hopefully you're watching this. But she's like, I love your job. Please teach me everything. Like, it's so cool to see you do your thing. She watched the pregame show. We got to do the pre and postgame show on Fox for the Huskers at Minnesota. She's watching with her family, and she's like, I'm blushing because I'm watching my boyfriend on television. Like, that is so cool to like hear, to have that support system. And my friends say the same thing. But the ones who are like, oh, you're working on a Saturday? Like, your life kind of sucks. Are you really in it for me? Or were you in it for the wrong reasons? And I don't need you in my life anymore.
See, and that's me with my kids. I mean, that's the one thing that I could say, like, when they got to meet Harper Murray in person, they got to meet Jordy Ball in person. They
probably were so happy.
Dude, my youngest daughter, she's the barista for Lindsey Krause for the longest, and then got to meet her at the live show. Like, getting them to see the people, my wife, who has been my rock. Whew, this one hits, but somehow
we need tissues out here.
Somehow I got to DJ Hulk Hogan's beer release here locally.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. And please don't comment no political stuff, because that ain't why I'm talking about this. But that was her only connection to her father, because that was his thing, and that's the only way he wanted a boy. So that was her way to spend time, was watch wrestling.
Oh wow.
So
that's deep.
She got to talk to him and tell him her story for a quick moment. All because I DJ'd, man. Not because I made all this $250,000 or I paid for this to happen. It just happened. So those moments are the ones that just stick harder,
and those are priceless,
than anything, because it's not a matter of I was anybody, because I'm still myself. I'm not this big DJ. I'm not selling myself as a DJ. You want me? You know my services. You know what I do. You want me. And that's what I always tell people. If you're wanted for the right reason, then it means something. But if you're just wanted because you're the boss or you're the corporate guy and you're having to go Monday through Friday, like you said, you were making sacrifices no one even cared about. the
Correct.
getting up early so you can be there for the people on the far side of the world.
Correct.
People didn't.
Yeah,
no one
that's
said
not
nothing.
recognized.
No, they didn't
No one
care.
cares about that.
They didn't care.
But I know for me, I need to. And I've had friends who'd be like, hey, like, I'd rather have a shitty 9 to 5 so I could go for a 2-week PTO to go scuba diving in Australia. Or I'm okay having a crappy job because I make a bunch of money. So everyone has their own lives to live, and no one's bashing anything. Just a matter like, what do you want? And are you going to hold yourself back? And if you feel like you're holding yourself back, what changes can you make? Like, luckily for me, again, I had no kids. All I had was a girlfriend at the time. I could move across the country and afford to go back to school to do it. Maybe you can't and you want to work in sports and you don't. Start a YouTube page. Start an Instagram page. So there's other ways for you to find that fix. And look at how many people nowadays where like content creators are the stars. You don't need to have a formal training, but if you have that audience, people will find you and they'll pay you.
See, and I like that it's all organic growth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people don't understand. Organic hits the heart better than anybody to ever pay for anything.
Correct.
I don't pay for advertising. I don't pay for...
People know when it's fake.
You know, and you could see it come across that way. But if you do the right things, your followers begin... You know, I have a Class C school where Dad put on Twitter just after I posted his son's interview, and, of course, a highlight reel. But I also mentioned that he was a multi-sport athlete. And his dad said on social media, I've had more basketball and football coaches at the next level reach out because of this.
Amazing.
For a Class C. That, to me, is a statement that hit harder than anything that I've ever done, and know that I'm in the right industry doing the right things. Because that's all it is sharing these stories and hoping that one person will see it for them to give them the opportunity.
Correct.
So I appreciate you sharing your story. Dude, we did not mean to get this deep, but when the conversation is legit, real, unscripted, you know, I'm blessed that he didn't ask, hey, what are we going to talk about?
No.
So I appreciate that, because some people do ask, but I'm like, I don't know, we could squirrel moment every so often, you know?
You can't fake real.
No. So, you know, what's some of the things that before we get you out of here, what are some of the things that you are looking forward to? Obviously, the Husker game.
Yes.
What football have you been around that's even close to it? Has there been anything?
So I grew up going to USC games.
Okay.
My friend, never the guy with the season tickets, like never the guy with the boat. Have a friend with the boat.
Yeah.
My friend Chase had season tickets with his family to USC games growing up. And when his mom couldn't go, I got to go. So I went to 2 or 3 a year. So November 1st, blackout game, night game, Memorial Stadium, covering the Huskers. Grew up a USC fan. That's going to be really cool to be on the field for that, covering that. I'm just looking forward to everything Husker related, whether it's wrestling, basketball. I've covered soccer. You have softball. Like, obviously, they made the Sweet 16 last year. Can they get advanced? I'm just really enjoying the day-to-day and what comes with it and covering sports, whether it's Huskers, high school, or other events around. Savannah Bananas coming here. That'll be super fun to cover.
Oh, dude.
I'm super excited.
So while you say that, last year I take this weird trip to get some Soldier bats, which I interviewed the owner of Soldier and shared his story of creating the bats. And he needed someone to go to the Bahamas to deliver baseball bats because they thought they could overnight, but they found out you can't overnight when you're going customs. So I'm like, well, I got my passport. I just went to the Bahamas for my sister-in-law's trip for a weekend for her gambling thing. I might as well go. It's in the winter. I'm not, doing lawns. I'll go. It was the best 48 hours of my life that I never thought I needed.
They just shipped you there with bats?
Well, yeah, I took a box of bats. Like, I'm carrying it through the
it's just your check luggage.
Well, and then I don't know nothing about customs. I don't understand it. But luckily I got through everything because I didn't know that you had to pay a certain amount for but they were giving them away to kids. And I let them know these bats are going to kids. There was a group of, content creators, DSMAR, big baseball guys. Okay. They were all out there. So I delivered them to them. You're at this event, and dude, I'm sitting there with one of the Savannah Bananas, Danny, the DHer.
Yes.
Dude, one of my favorites to watch. I mean, he's sitting there always fully dressed, like he's ready to go. And but baseball's so big that I almost have to Instagram each one to see who's who, because I don't know people by face for baseball. It's not like, you walk up and you could see and notice who Tom Brady is, or for quite a bit of your football players, right? If they're in the top. But I mean, I go to this baseball thing. It's of course a lot more of the Latin players and all that, because they're down there for the Bahamas Home Run Derby. Home Run Derby in Paradise is what they called it. They're hitting balls out into the water. So I'm seeing all these baseball players, but I did get to meet a Savannah Banana, and then of course Chris Perry is now Savannah Banana, and that's how we're connecting and being able to get it in Memorial Stadium. But I don't know if you've ever been in Memorial Stadium for anything but a Husker game. I was there for Garth Brooks, and it was still a packed house and still felt like a Husker game. So
amazing.
The Savannah Bananas is a lottery pick to get tickets. So
I read the press release today. 1 million people on the list.
Oh man! And they're doing.
Sorry, is there 100? Sorry, I lied. 100,000 on the list.
I mean, we don't have 100,000 seats, so and that's not counting people getting multiple seats.
Correct.
So I just hope it goes well. I didn't put myself in there. I believe I have to do an event that day. I know there's something else. I think I have a wedding that day.
See, it goes to the sacrifices again.
Exactly. And I would love to be a part of it, but you have a big season for the Huskers basketball. Obviously, you've seen the growth there.
Yes. Mass coming back. He looked great against BYU.
What has been your favorite part about just covering the Huskers that you didn't think you would experience?
Yep.
And especially when you compare it to like a USC.
Yes. So I'm going to give you two answers, if that's okay.
Yes.
In school, we learned, you talk about interviewing with Howard Stern. We have a whole class dedicated to interviewing and just asking open-ended questions. So not like yes, no, or like giving them one-word answers. That's how you create engagement. In 3 days in the summer, we interviewed Hoiberg, or like a media scrum, Hoiberg, Busby Kelly, and then Rule. Each of them said to one reporter, "That's a really good question." That person was me. High-level coaches, D1 coaches. I'm in the room for 2 or 3 months. I'm trying to make a name for myself with 20, 30-year seasoned reporters, and I'm getting, hey, that's a good question. Never thought of it like that. That is gratifying. And to help me feel comfortable to have a voice in that room, because I deserve to be there. Obviously, by having the job, I deserve it, but I earned my keep in the eyes of those people. At the same time, it gave me the confidence that, like, hey, you deserve to be here. So that part's really cool, is being in the room with people you've looked up to your whole life, see on television, now be able to be a media member and ask them questions, interview them, create stories on them.
Weird. I think earlier I did say, if you're meaning to be there, you're going to be there. So I like how you brought that up. Go ahead with your second one.
So the second would be just Husker Nation. Whether the team is winning or losing, volleyball sell out every time. Football sell every time. Soccer game was packed house. I'm sure with wrestling and basketball, it's going to be the same way. PBA, seeing the Husker Nation there when the volleyball team was there. Just is so cool to see. You hear stories of Big Red travels well. You hear stories of Nebraska athletics is really good with the fans, and seeing it, it's cool to be part of and be able to cover and have a small part in telling that story.
Well, Randy Silver, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your story. Didn't mean to get in our emotions, but that just is real talk, talking real. So I appreciate you sharing the hard parts that people sometimes get afraid of. But hopefully one more person just watches this and says, now I can do what I wanted to do.
Correct.
I can take that jump. I took my jump thanks to my wife. I would not be able to do what I do. I have to give it to someone. He gave it to not only not loving what he was doing, but also the fact that many people told him he couldn't do what he wanted to do because of his height, his size, and everything of that sort. Remember, if you want to be there, you'll get there. It's not easy, though. It's stressful. It's a lot of mental battles that we go through. But if you take it one day at a time and keep watching this show right here, Wired Axcess Podcast,
yes,
I promise you, you're going to find the courage to do what you want to do, because that's what the athletes are sharing. That's what the social media people are sharing, where all it takes is one believer, and the believers keep rolling. Whether it's your story, their story, it's all one. We greatly appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Man!